The moment his mother opened her mouth, the entire restaurant went silent. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead. Gold-rimmed plates reflected soft candlelight. The evening crowd whispered under their breath, sensing something ugly curling through the air. And it was coming straight from her. The elegant, sharp-tongued woman sitting at the center table. Like she owned the world. Bianca Moretti, mother of Luca Moretti, the most feared Mafia boss on the East Coast. A man people crossed the street to avoid. A man who could silence a room with one glance. Tonight, he sat beside her and watched the disaster unfold. Because Bianca wasn't whispering. She was mocking. Loudly. Cruelly. And Luca saw the waitress freeze as the words hit her like a slap. Look at her. Bianca scoffed, her voice dripping contempt. A poor little thing like that working in our restaurant. Her uniform barely fits. Her hair a mess. And honestly, she lowered her voice just enough to make it hurt more. A place like this shouldn't hire someone like her. Her eyes drifted over the waitress's dark skin, her tired eyes, her shaking hands. A quiet cruelty. A poisoned smile. The waitress, Maya, didn't look up, didn't argue, didn't defend herself. She just placed 2 glasses on the table and whispered, "Is there anything else you need tonight?" Her voice was soft, polite, exhausted, but Bianca didn't stop. "Oh no, dear," she said sweetly. "You've done enough. It's just, you remind me of those girls who work cheap jobs because they have no other options. Tell me." She tilted her head. "Do you even have a real education? Or do you just serve?" Maya's fingers tightened around her tray. The entire room went still. Luca's jaw clenched hard enough to crack bone. He stared at his mother, stunned that she'd say something so vicious, and stunned that she'd do it in front of him. He looked at Maya. The way she swallowed the hurt. The way she hid it behind a quiet smile. The way her shoulders didn't cave, even though her eyes did. And something inside Luca, a man feared by enemies, respected by killers, shifted. He'd seen cruelty before. He'd delivered it. But this wasn't power. This was disrespect. "Mama," he said quietly. Bianca waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, Luca, don't start. I'm simply stating facts. You can't expect class from Mama." His voice hardened. Her smile faltered. Maya stepped back, whispering, "I'll get your entrees." She turned, quick, quiet, hoping to escape, and Bianca laughed under her breath. A small, bitter sound. Luca's hands curled into fists. His mother didn't see the way Maya's shoulders tightened. Didn't notice her blink fast to keep tears from forming. Didn't care how many eyes were watching this humiliation. But Luca saw all of it. Every small tremor of hurt. Every breath she swallowed down. Every ounce of dignity she fought to keep. And then, he heard it. "Some people," Bianca said loud enough for half the restaurant to hear, "just don't belong in places meant for people like us." Maya stopped mid-step. Her back rose and fell. A tiny inhale. A tiny heartbreak. A huge silence. And Luca Moretti, Mafia boss, feared, respected, dangerous, felt something inside him snap. He stood. Chairs scraped. Conversation stopped. Dozens of eyes turned toward him as he pushed away from the table. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Maya." She turned slowly, eyes wide. "Yes, sir." Luca took one step toward her. Then another. Then he said, loud enough for every person in the restaurant to hear, "You don't deserve to be spoken to that way." Bianca's smile vanished instantly. "Luca, sit down this instant." But he didn't look at her. He didn't look at anyone. He kept his eyes on Maya, his voice steady, grounded, protective. "You've been nothing but respectful. You show up every night. You work harder than anyone here. And you do it with dignity my own family seems to have forgotten." Maya's lips parted in shock. Bianca's face burned red. "Excuse me. Luca, what are you?" He finally turned to his mother. And the entire restaurant held its breath. "Mother," he said coldly, "you insulted a woman who's worth more than half this room." Gasps. Whispers. A wine glass nearly tipped over. Bianca trembled with rage. "How dare you embarrass me like this?" "How dare you embarrass yourself?" Luca said. "Bullying a waitress? That's beneath you. Or at least I thought it was." Maya looked at the floor, trying to disappear. But Luca stepped closer, closing the distance she tried to create, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "You didn't deserve any of that," he whispered. "Not tonight. Not ever." And as the diner watched, stunned and silent, Maya, poor, exhausted, hurting Maya, finally looked up at him. And for the first time that night, she didn't feel invisible. The whole restaurant buzzed with shocked whispers. Forks remained suspended. Glasses froze midair. Every eye flicked between Maya and the Mafia boss who had just defended her. Maya didn't know where to look. Her lips parted, words trapped behind fear and disbelief. Nobody ever stood up for her like that. Not customers. Not managers. Not coworkers. But Luca Moretti? The man whose name made grown men sweat? He was looking at her like she mattered. Bianca, however, wasn't done. She stood abruptly, her chair screeching across the polished floor. Luca, enough of this show, she snapped. This girl is nothing. And you, of all people, should know better than to treat staff like. Luca turned. Slowly. Coldly. Mama, he said, apologize. The room sucked in a collective breath. Bianca blinked, stunned. Excuse me. You heard me. Her nostrils flared in disbelief. You want me, Bianca Moretti, to apologize to her? She pointed at Maya like she was an object. Like she didn't have a face, a soul, a life. Maya took a step back, shaking her head. Please, she whispered, you don't have to. But Luca didn't take his eyes off his mother. Mama, he repeated, apologize. Bianca scoffed. This is absurd. She's paid to serve us, Luca. People like her don't need your pity. Something in Luca cracked. Do not, he growled. Talk about her like that. Maya froze. There was something in his voice. A tremor of old wounds. Of something personal. Something painful lodged under his ribs. People like her, he repeated. What does that even mean to you? Bianca lifted her chin arrogantly. She's poor. Uneducated. No class. Not one of us. Luca's fist clenched. Not from anger. From memory. Because a long time ago, someone had said those exact words to him. He stepped forward. Do you want to know something, Mama? He said quietly, dangerously. I used to scrub dishes in a place like this when I was 15. The room fell dead silent. Maya's eyes widened. Bianca's jaw dropped. You what? She whispered, horrified. Luca nodded slowly. I was a dishwasher. I slept in a storage room. I ate cold leftovers for dinner. People treated me exactly the way you treated her tonight. Bianca's face drained of color. That's not the same. It's exactly the same. Luca turned his head toward Maya, his voice softening like it only did with truth. And do you know who helped me wash dishes on my first day? Maya shook her head slowly. A woman just like you, he said. He paused. His breath shook. She didn't care where I came from. She didn't mock me. She didn't look down on me. His jaw tightened. She just treated me with human dignity. Bianca swallowed hard. I didn't know. You didn't ask, Luca said. Maya looked at him, stunned. The Mafia boss, who seemed untouchable, had once stood exactly where she stood. But Bianca wasn't ready to lose. She crossed her arms tightly. She still shouldn't be working here. It ruins the atmosphere. Mama, Luca snapped. You're ruining the atmosphere. Maya's breath caught. Luca lowered his voice, his next words meant only for Maya, but loud enough for everyone to hear. You survived things you never deserved, he said gently. I see that. Her chest hitched. You're tired. You're overworked. And you still smiled when you served my table. Maya blinked back tears. Luca, you don't have to say this. I want to. Bianca stepped forward again. Luca, this is beneath you. He turned sharply. What's beneath me, he said, is pretending I didn't hear you insult a woman who's done nothing but work hard to survive. Maya pressed a hand to her heart, not because of his words, but because nobody had ever acknowledged her survival before. Luca's tone changed then. Quieter, deeper. Maya, look at me. She met his eyes. Slow. Scared. But trusting him for reasons she didn't understand yet. You didn't deserve her cruelty, he said. And if this happens again, you come to me. Not the manager. Not the owner. He paused, voice dropping to a vowel. Me. Her breath trembled. Why? She whispered. The corner of Luca's mouth lifted. Not a smile, but something softer, something cracked open. Because I don't forget where I come from, he murmured. And I don't forget people who remind me of who I used to be. Maya didn't know what to say, didn't know how to respond to a Mafia boss who spoke to her like she mattered. But before she could speak, Bianca slammed her purse onto the table. This conversation is over, she snapped. I refuse to sit here and watch my son defend trash. Luca moved so fast the entire room gasped. He didn't touch her. He didn't shout. He just stepped between Bianca and Maya, blocking his mother like he was shielding something precious. And he whispered, deadly calm, "Call her that again, and you're no longer welcome at my table." Bianca froze. Everyone froze. Maya pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. Luca didn't move. He stood like a wall between the woman who raised him and the woman she just tried to break. And when the room finally began to breathe again, Luca said the one thing nobody expected. "Tonight, Mama, you showed your face. And I didn't like what I saw." Maya's heart stopped. Because in that moment, it wasn't the Mafia boss who spoke. It was the little boy, who remembered every insult, every humiliation, every moment of being less than. And this time, he refused to let someone else feel it. For a long, breathless moment, nobody in the restaurant moved. Bianca's face stiffened, trapped between pride and disbelief. The other diners stared in silent shock. And Maya stood frozen, her tray hugged to her chest, unsure whether to step forward or run. Luca didn't look back at his mother. Not yet. He looked at Maya instead, his voice softer than anything the diners thought a Mafia boss could ever sound like. "You all right?" Maya nodded. A tiny, shaky movement. But Luca could see the truth, the pressure behind her eyes, the tremor in her fingers, the way she kept swallowing back the sting his mother had caused. Bianca finally snapped out of her silence. "This is ridiculous," she hissed. "You embarrass me in public for a girl who brings you water?" Maya flinched, but didn't look up. Luca's jaw flexed. "Mama, stop talking. You think she's special?" Bianca scoffed. "She's beneath us." "Mama," he warned again. Bianca leaned closer, her voice like poison dipped in silk. "She's just another poor, desperate girl looking for scraps. They're all the same." Maya's breath hitched as if she'd been hit. And that was when Luca turned. Slow, controlled, dangerously calm. "Mama." His voice dropped low, the kind of low that made grown men step back. "You don't know her story. You don't know her struggles. You don't know anything about her." Bianca waved a dismissive hand. "I don't need to know." "Then I'll tell you," Luca said quietly, "since you clearly can't see past your own pride." He reached for Maya's hand. She pulled it back instinctively, startled. But Luca wasn't trying to take it. He was asking permission. "Maya," he murmured, "may I?" Her throat bobbed. She hesitated, then nodded. Luca gently guided her forward, toward the table, toward the crowd that had just witnessed her humiliation. Her steps were small, shy, terrified. He stood beside her like a shield. "This woman," he said loudly enough for the entire restaurant to hear, "comes in an hour early every evening to prep tables." Maya looked up at him in shock. "You think I don't notice?" he whispered to her. "I see everything." Bianca frowned. "So she works hard." "A lot of people work hard. She works 2 jobs," Luca continued, cutting her off. Maya's eyes widened again. "No one here knew that." "She serves here at night," he said, "and cleans offices at dawn." Whispers rippled through the restaurant. Maya shook her head, voice trembling. "Luca, please." He turned to her gently. "Do you want me to stop?" She closed her eyes. Her heart wanted to say yes. Her dignity needed someone to finally tell the truth. "No," she whispered. "Go on." So he did. "She's paying rent for her grandmother," Lucas said quietly. "An old woman who can barely walk. A woman who raised her alone. A woman she refuses to put in a home because she promised she'd never leave her." Maya bit her lip hard. Her eyes filled, but tears didn't fall yet. "Luca," she whispered, "how did you?" "I notice people who fight battles quietly," he said. His mother stiffened, suddenly uncomfortable. Luca continued. "She didn't get to finish school," he said, "because she had to start working at 16. A gasp. She didn't have the luxury of college, or tutors, or travel. She didn't grow up with silk sheets or servants. She grew up with survival." Maya squeezed her eyes shut as her heart cracked open in front of strangers. "She's the kind of person," Lucas said, "who has scars no one sees. Responsibility no one respects. Strength no one acknowledges." He faced his mother. "And she is not beneath you." Bianca's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "You speak as if she's some fallen princess," she snapped. "She's just—" "Mama," Luca interrupted sharply. "Finish that sentence, and you'll lose me tonight." Silence. Bianca froze. Because she'd never heard her son say something like that. Not even as a child. Maya stepped back, overwhelmed. "No," she whispered softly. "Please don't fight because of me." Luca turned to her, voice gentler. "This isn't a fight," he said. "This is a correction." Maya shook her head desperately. You don't understand. People like me. We're used to this. I don't need saving. Luca leaned closer, his voice a low murmur only she could hear. Maya, nobody should be used to cruelty. And you don't need saving. You need acknowledgement. Her lips trembled. No one had ever said that to her. Not once in her entire life. Just then, the manager approached, nervous, sweating, forcing a smile. Is everything okay at this table? Bianca pointed sharply. I want this girl fired. Maya's heart dropped. The crowd gasped. Luca's expression turned deadly. Try it, he said coldly. And I'll buy this entire restaurant by morning. The manager nearly fainted. Bianca glared at her son, furious and trembling. Luca Moretti, she hissed. You are choosing her over your own mother? Luca didn't blink. I'm choosing respect over arrogance. The room went silent again. Bianca's lips parted in shock. You can come home when you're thinking clearly, she snapped. Luca's voice was barely above a whisper. I'm thinking clearly for the first time in a long time. Bianca grabbed her purse, lifted her chin, and stormed toward the exit, heels clicking with wounded pride. The entire restaurant stared, breathless. Maya stood frozen, confused, shaking. Why did you do that? She whispered. Luca's reply was soft. Because tonight I realized something. She swallowed. What? You remind me of the person I wish I had beside me growing up. Her eyes shimmered. And what person is that? She whispered. A kind one, Luca said. A strong one. One who never gave up, even when the world tried to break her. Maya's voice broke. Luca, I'm nobody. He shook his head slowly. No, Maya. You're the most real person I've met in years. Her breath trembled. Her heart pounded. And Luca knew. This wasn't the end. This was the moment everything changed. The restaurant felt strangely quiet now, as if the storm had passed. But the air was still shaking from its force. Maya stood there, hands trembling around her tray, unsure what to do with her breath, her body, or her heart. Customers whispered softly, stealing glances at her and the Mafia boss who had just gone to war for her. Luca didn't move. He stayed right in front of her. Not too close. Not too far. Just close enough to let her know she wasn't alone. You shouldn't have done that, Maya whispered, voice fragile. You shouldn't have stood in front of everyone, not for me. Luca tilted his head slightly. Why not? Because... Her voice broke. People don't defend girls like me. Luca frowned gently. Girls like you. She swallowed hard. Poor girls. Girls with dark skin. Girls who grew up on the wrong side of the city. Girls who serve rich people and pretend their insults don't hurt. Her breath shook. Girls like me disappear in rooms like this, Luca. Nobody sees us. Nobody listens. Luca's gaze softened, painfully so. I saw you, he said quietly. Maya blinked, stunned by the softness in his eyes. You're strong, he said. You're tired, but you don't break. You work yourself to the bone, and you never complain. You treated my mother with more dignity than she ever gave you. Her lips trembled. That doesn't make me special, she whispered. It does to me, he said. A silence stretched between them. Gentle, fragile, full of unspoken things. Maya shook her head slowly, as if trying to clear a storm. You don't understand, Luca? I'm not someone who belongs in your world. I'm not someone who fits beside you. He took a step closer. You fit exactly where respect is needed, he murmured. And that's beside me. Her breath caught. No, she whispered. You're a powerful man. People fear you. And you're a kind woman. People love you, he replied. She blinked hard, looking away. I'm not used to anyone choosing me. Luca hesitated, his voice dropping to something raw and honest. Then let me be the first. Maya's heart pounded so loudly she was sure the whole room could hear it. He moved gently, not touching her, but lowering himself to her eye level, his voice softer than the dim lights above them. You know, he whispered, when my mother mocked you, it felt like she was mocking the boy I used to be. The boy she pretended didn't exist. Maya gasped quietly. Luca nodded. I wasn't born into power, Maya. I built it. With bloody knuckles and empty stomachs. With insults thrown at me for being poor. For being nothing. His voice cracked. Tonight, my own mother spoke to you the same way people once spoke to me. Maya lifted her eyes slowly. And I realized, he continued, that I'll never be that kind of person. Not again. Not ever. A tear slid down Maya's cheek. She wiped it away quickly, embarrassed. Don't hide that, he murmured. Not from me. She inhaled sharply. I'm scared, she confessed. Scared this attention will ruin my job. Scared people will hate me. Scared your mother will punish me. Luca shook his head. No one touches you. Not while I'm breathing. Her heart stopped. He stood fully, straightening his jacket. Come, he said softly. Maya startled. Where? Break room. Somewhere you can breathe. I'm still working, she whispered. No, Luca said gently. You're done for tonight. She hesitated. Luca, I don't want you to ruin your relationship with your mother because of me. She ruined that relationship herself, he said calmly. You just opened my eyes. Maya pressed a shaking hand to her chest. This is too much, she breathed. Why are you doing this? Luca exhaled slowly. Because he was tired too. Tired of fear. Tired of reputation. Tired of silence. And tonight, a waitress had reminded him what dignity looked like. He met her gaze and whispered, because someone should have defended me when I was your age. And no one did. I won't make the same mistake with you. Maya's lips trembled as tears finally slipped free. Soft. Quiet. Real. Lucas stepped a little closer, lowering his voice only for her. You deserve to be seen, Maya. Not ignored. Not mocked. Seen. She covered her mouth, overwhelmed. And if you let me, he added, I'll make sure no one ever speaks to you that way again. Her voice cracked. Why do you care so much? Luca looked at her like the answer had been waiting inside him for years. Because kindness stands out, he whispered. And tonight, yours stood taller than the entire room. Her tears fell. His eyes softened. And for the first time that night, Maya didn't feel small. She didn't feel poor. She didn't feel invisible. She felt human, valued, respected. She felt chosen. The restaurant lights flickered gently, washing the room in a warm glow as Luca held her gaze. And somewhere inside her chest, a new truth whispered. Maybe she wasn't beneath this world after all. Maybe she was exactly where she needed to be. And maybe Luca Moretti wasn't as unreachable as she thought. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always wear a smile, and heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they walk in covered in dust, carrying stories that could change your heart forever.